You're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm Ashley Hardgrave, joined by Oliver Camacho and Matt Cummings. All right, this week we go Inside the Huddle with Cecilia Molinari. Last Sunday, the Italian mezzo wrapped her U.S. debut at Lyric Opera of Chicago just in time to return home for the closing ceremonies in her hometown and the start of the Paralympic Games. And while the Olympics continue, we chalk talk on Christopher Tin's Turandot remix, elder millennial Olympians, and cheating Canadian curlers. Plus, in the 2-minute drill, life-changing funds in Detroit, Zambello's foreshadowing at The Guardian, and at this point, it might be better to list who's not in the Epstein files. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast. On Spotify, you're going to click follow. On Apple Podcasts, you're going to hit that plus sign. You can also stream episodes of OBS every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central at amplisoundsradio.com. You can also email us your hot takes by writing to mailbag@operaboxscore.com, or you can upload a voice memo using the You Got Something to Say tab on our website, operaboxscore.com. However you contribute, you'll get an OBS beer coaster, an OBS lapel pin, and a #1 OBS fan foam finger just for sharing your own hot take. Gentlemen, we are here. It is February, even though in Chicago it is in the 50s and 60s, so everybody is delighting in fall spring. Oliver Camacho, how are you?
We're recording on the 17th, the Tuesday, and it is the women's short program, which probably already happened, but the primetime coverage starts in about 10 minutes, so we're talking fast today.
Go, go, go. Matt Cummings, go.
We've got Olympics to get to. I don't know what I'm more excited about, having my windows open in February or being the tallest member of the panel for once.
You know what? I'm mad at you for that, but I'm going to give it to you. I'm not even going to comment. Let's talk some opera.
Huddle up. Let's go Inside the Huddle.
Cecilia Molinari is an incredible bel canto and Baroque specialist who made her U.S. debut singing another one of her signature composers, Mozart. I think she might have been the most impressive vocalist in a cast that was really stacked. I was just really delighted to hear her for the first time, and I began to go down the rabbit hole of what her career has been till now. And without even knowing, she is the type of singer that I just adore so much. And you'll hear me basically kiss her butt throughout this interview. Before we dive into Cecilia Molinari Inside the Huddle, here is a performance of that run in Parto from Clemente di Tito, from a performance last November at La Fenice, conducted by Ivor Bolton. Cecilia Molinari, benvenuti. Welcome to Opera Box Score, and congratulations on your U.S. debut. I have to tell you this
so much.
little petite story that when this cast was announced, I knew everybody in the cast except for you. And I was like, who is this Cecilia Molinari person, you know? And then I just started paying attention to where I saw your name. And eventually I saw that you were doing this Ariodante with Jacqueline Stucker. And I was like, okay, maybe I should try to figure out who she is. And the first time I heard you sing was here in Chicago. And I told the person I was with, it's like, I think she won the show. I think that you, at least at the Prima, like your singing was so impressive. Everybody is so good in this cast. Don't get me wrong, but you have a real bel canto technique, And the audience knows I'm crazy about bel canto and about people who can sing with this technique. And you use it in Mozart, which is so impressive that you're really singing this music, and doing something very stylish with it. So congratulations on this US
Thank
debut.
You so much for your kind word.
And congratulations for impressing me.
Yes, I feel that it was. Wow. I feel very honored.
Yeah. And we'll talk a bit more about what it means to sing bel canto. But I noticed that you have a lot of Baroque music in your repertoire. If we say you have a lot of Baroque bona fides, I'll say. And this Ariodante you did in Paris, I wish I could have been there, because I know that whatever Raphael Pichon does, it's always so good. Like, he's got this magic touch. Can you talk a little bit about working with Raphael Pichon?
Working with him, it's incredibly inspiring, I have to say. And especially work on Ariodante, which is such an extremely complex role and opera. I mean, Ariodante is singing 6 arias, 3 duets. It's a never-ending role for mezzos. And it requires a lot of stamina, physical stamina, and good technique, because if not, you're not arriving after 4 hours singing the last aria. And
yeah, you're going to sing Dopo Notte at
yes, exactly. After 4 hours that you're on stage. And but it also requires also mental focus and mental strength. And being able to sing these with Raphael was really important, and really it was so supportive with all the orchestra. And together we took some risks, especially musically. And I like this because we were at the same, we were with the same ideas on Baroque music. So for example, sometimes you think that with Baroque, you really need to impress people with vocal agility, and that public expects this kind of fireworks when you're singing, and the variations and coloraturas. But actually with Raphael, we decided to play and to take risk in another direction. So for example, in Scherza in Fida, which is the most famous arias of Ariodante, and also the longest, it's like almost 10 minutes or 12, it depends. Usually at the da capo, you want to put a lot of variations because you are afraid that public get bored, and so you need to do something. But actually with Raphael, we said, and we decided together, that maybe it's more interesting to not put any variations. We just use colors. So we keep the orchestra as piano as possible, and your voice needs to be as piano as possible, almost like speaking. And it was the best decision ever, because public was really, so it was magic. It was like magnetic for the public to be able to listen to these colors, this piano. And you can tell this because when I finish the aria, instead of the immediate applause, there is this kind of suspended silence where people don't dare to clap, because they're so fascinating, and there's this kind of magic of live theater, and they don't want to destroy this. And that is where I understand that actually also silence and piano and taking care of the words, it's so important for opera. And you can really deliver lots of message without all the time trying to show off or trying to impress with, I mean, less is more. That's exactly what sometimes we need to remember as singers while doing music.
Well, I'm so glad you said it like this. I will say it in another way. Raphael seems to be a conductor who is really interested in rhetoric. That's the word we use in English, in trying to find the musical way of interpreting words, to using everything that we have in our toolbox to be expressive with the text. And in Baroque operas, especially high Baroque like Vivaldi and Handel, often you have the same words over and over again. So how do you do this? You know, you have to make choices, you know, and to understand that you have a bel canto technique, which, you know, doesn't necessarily want to do this type of rhetorical singing. That's like, there are these Baroque specialists who do rhetorical singing without ever getting to a full vibrato, even legato, good tone top to bottom, no register breaks. I can name some singers who are very famous Baroque interpreters, and you'll never imagine them in bel canto music, So I feel like you are, at your young age, trying to, be a good technician, but also be careful to pay attention to the style, Does that feel correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that actually what public is searching is also emotional transparency. And you can do it only if you deliver the text correctly and if you're telling a story, but the story has to be true. And only if you are true when you're singing and when you're delivering the text, then it creates, then the public understand it and enjoy with you the music. It's something that it's connected. It's not just music and good voice. It's really something more complex. And for example, in this Ariodante with Raphael, it works. It was exactly like this. But I think that also in this Mozart, it's working the same. We're very careful about what we are feeling on stage and what we want to say with using the music of Mozart and what's happening on stage to deliver a message and to make people enjoy and also think about things.
I've never sung on the stage of Paris Opera, or I've never sung on the stage of Lyric Opera. And I know how big Lyric is. I know what the challenges are. I've heard very beautiful voices given to the temptation to sing more loudly in that space and change their tone quality so that they feel that they're being heard. What has it been like for you, having a career mostly based in Europe, the difference between singing in Paris and singing in Chicago?
Yeah, that's one of my fears coming here, and because this is my US debut, was literally, I was afraid of the fact that there was 3,200 seats, and I was like, oh my God, they would never, it's so big, how I can do that. But in the end, what I learned is that you really have to trust your voice, because actually the lyric opera is, of course, it's a big theater, it's a big stage, but it's so well done that you really, if you want to do a piano, they're going to listen to your piano because it's so well done. So you don't have to push, you don't have to prove or to build the volume, because actually you have to trust your own voice, because everything you want to deliver is going to arrive. And actually, if you go more high, you're going to sit, more details you're going to get from the voices. And it's so important, because then you are free to do colors, to do more fraseggio, to do more stuff and enjoying the music instead of being constantly focused. Oh, did you think my voice is gonna through the orchestra? Did they hear me? What's happening? No. They're gonna hear you here. It's so well done, this theater, that really you have to trust your pianos.
Right, but
sure.
It feels different though, right? Like singing in, I don't know all the places you've sung in Europe, Berlin, and have you sung in Pesaro yet?
Yes. Also, yeah.
So these spaces, I don't know these spaces and what it feels like to be on the stage. Do you feel the difference between, the voice coming back and, being able to hear your own details, and going into lyric and just sending your voice out into the space and not knowing if it's the color that you actually meant to sing,
Yeah, a certain point, it's nice to have some feedback, physical acoustic feedback when you're singing, but then actually you start to build your own proprioception when you're singing. So it's more about the feeling that you have in your body while you're singing. So I perfectly know that maybe a note, I did the notes too much because it doesn't resonate where it usually, these notes resonates in my body, and you start to be really very perceptive about your body, and then you start to trust, and you know exactly what you're doing, and maybe you're like, okay, now in this phrase I pushed too much, maybe I should just come back to my own. Don't be afraid, just feeling your body, do it what you're usually doing, don't worry, you're gonna be good. So that's why I'm speaking about mental strength, because it's we are singing really under pressure, so a lot of pressure, and the real key is really to be connected to yourself and not to focus, to really mental strength. I feel this is the...
Getting back to the idea of style, and you were saying that you are looking for these colors in this Così fan tutte. I don't know if you know, but the tradition of Mozart singing in the US, but it's only recently I feel that we've heard people more like you who understand some of the, early 18th century ideas about music that you can bring to Mozart and sing in a big house like this. And luckily you have Jacqueline on stage with you who also does this music, so you can phrase the same way. And Anthony is also a very smart singer, and so I don't know. I for me, it's like when I heard this ensemble, it's like, wow, they really have these ensembles. They're phrasing together, and it's so beautiful. You can listen to some old recordings from the US, the 90s, the 80s, and it's just two classic opera singers just like, well, I'm going to sing it this way, I'm going to sing it this way, and it's going to be a tsunami of vibrato, and you enjoy it because the voices sound beautiful, but you don't really hear all of the details in the score. So I guess there's a question in there somewhere. Do you have like standards about how you will sing Mozart, and were you relieved to find that you had this cast and this conductor who are letting you do it this way, or did you have some in rehearsal, like negotiation you have to make?
I have to say that with Enrique was easy, because Enrique has a very strong idea about Mozart and how it should be done. And most part of the time, I mean, not all the time, I agree with him. So it was easier. There wasn't any need of negotiations or trying to find a balance about our ideas, because it was exactly what I think about Mozart, that he's like a forerunner or bel canto, and that there's a lot of psychological depth in every characters, and we need to not lose this authenticity of each character during the ensemble, because sometimes you're like, the ensemble, so we're gonna sing all the same because we need to do my job. But actually, especially Così, it's a teamwork, and also the magic of Mozart is that he brings together all these different characters under the same architectural music. But in this ensemble, you don't have to lose your characters. So you have to sing your line in your character. And that's what, if you keep this in mind, that's what I think Mozart wants. So a very organized mess, but very psychological, clear mess. I mean, you know exactly which every character is doing, what is the action that he wants to do, where we are going. So it's not that we just stops, we sing loud, and then we just continue the show. No, while we are singing, we are still going on with the action, with the dramaturgy. And so this is, I think, the style. You really need to be all the time connected. It's the difference. I mean, it's not like an opera buffa, it's a dramma giocoso. So it's something that you really, there's a story, there's a drama going on. So it's not just about having fun and people singing together, and it's a chaotic thing. No, it's a very well thing, very smart, chaotic place. And you need to be true to your character all the time, all the way through.
This production is very physical for the four lovers. Actually, every character has a lot of running around on the stage, and big gestures, and falling onto a chair and this type of thing. It almost feels like I Love Lucy sometimes, And if you know this show, it's an American show with the very famous comedian Lucille Ball. And I was asking you when we had met before if you had studied any of these, great physical comedians to get some of this shtick, to learn some of these little tricks that you can do to make things more funny. But the question I actually want to ask you is, like, now that I know that you are so committed to the physicality of this work, you're doing a lot of Cherubinos coming up. Do you find this to be also a very athletic thing to perform?
Yeah, I mean, Cherubino, I think, is the most athletic character, Mozart character to do, but because it's just so active, and his action brings the story moving. I mean, when he's hiding in the Susanna room, hiding in Contessa's closet, jumping on the window, disguised as a woman. I mean, it's that constant action. So I think no role can beat Cherubino's as physical energy. But this Arabella, it's very, very close to this. And there's a lot of sports going on, but it's a more educated energy, I would love to say, because Cherubino is just more energy that goes. The Arabella is more physical, but trying to control the physicality, but actually she can't, because she's so emotional that it just burst into like big gesture and dramatic Italian gesture, I would say.
Yeah. Well, you sing the Act 2 duet, Prenderò, literally
God, yes.
after getting off of a treadmill. You're not running on the treadmill, but you're sort of light jogging on a treadmill.
Yeah.
And then you have to sing, this very complicated duet with lots of coloratura, Yeah, it's really impressive, and I wonder if it has anything to do. Talking about stamina, if you are relying on any of your sports training. I understand that you used to play water polo.
Oh yeah, for 10 years. But I still went to the gym 3 times a week during this production in order to be able to go on the treadmill, because the problem is that I'm a good swimmer, but I hate to run, and so it was a nightmare to do the treadmill scene, because I get out of breath immediately. So I really train hard to run.
I hear you. I was impressed by some of your phrase lengths, like in both of the duets. This, "Se questo mio cuore mai cangia desiderio," phrases,
yes.
yeah. But also in the finale, this toast that you have with. First, Fiordiligi sings it, then Ferrando sings it, and you sings it. The Bevi, I forget the text of this one. This is a very beautiful line, yes. And it's a long one. It's a very long phrase,
especially with maestro tempo. It's longer and longer. You never know. So you have to be prepared at everything, because every show is different, and it depends. That's the magic of live theater. So every time you train yourself, because you never know.
Yeah, exactly. So since this is your first experience in the US, have you noticed anything about the culture of making opera that's different than what you're used to?
Well, I like the fact that public is more active in a way, and the reaction that you have from the public is more immediate. So they're laughing a lot, and it's really beautiful as a performer to have this immediate feedback that public is enjoying what you're doing, because sometimes you're doing funny things on stage and nobody's laughing, and you're like, oh my God. Oh no, it's so embarrassing. But here you're doing things and having fun on stage, and you can feel that the audience is having fun too, and this is very rewarding as a singer. And I feel that here the public really wants to enjoy. When they're going to opera, they really want to enjoy the story, the music, and having a nice evening or afternoon. And while in Europe, I think sometimes they just want to go to opera to see what's going on, to see if there is something that can challenge them, or if they can go home with a lot of questions or things. But here, actually, they really want to be entertained. And I think it's also nice, this way of going to the opera. You don't all the time have to be, to think about too much, or to try to find a subtext about everything. Sometimes you just want to enjoy good music, good singers, and yes, feel uplifted in a way with the beauty, which is also very interesting and important.
I mean, you're saying something about American audiences, which is sort of like saying we don't want to work. really want to go and just
it's not
relax.
that
No, but it's true. It's true. I mean, the opera audiences, the ones that they're trying to attract, they're actually trying to market opera to people. It's like, don't worry about it. We're going to make sure you enjoy it. Like, you don't have to prepare. You don't have to know the opera. Just come, and that's what we get, not all the time, but, at a big house like Chicago,
It can, I'm not judging. It's like a way to enjoy opera, and it's important in the same way. It's not bad or better or worse. It's good. It's a way.
My question is also pertains to the rehearsal process and the way the administration or the staff treats the singers. Like, is there anything you could say? You don't have to say anything bad about lyric opera. Obviously, you won't.
No.
About the difference between working in the U.S. and working in all the places in Europe you've been.
Yeah, here there's a very strong teamwork also on stage and also in between colleagues. So everybody is committed to have good energy on stage and I think especially in this opera, it's so important to build good energy in between colleagues, because then if you don't have fun with your colleagues on stage, it's impossible to do this opera, because then it becomes very difficult. And the big difference, it's that here there is the AGMA, so everything it has more rules about what you can do on stage or during rehearsal and what you can't do. And I found it. This is the biggest difference on the rehearsal process. For example, you can't film the rehearsals. Sometimes in Europe, especially when there is complex movements to do, or you just don't have so much time to rehearse, we used to put our phones, video camera, and we just film the stage, what we are doing. So then at home we can just study the video that we've done. But here you can't, because there's rules. So the process is just different, and you just have to deal with what you have. It's also nice because it's also protect the artist and the work of the artists. But this is the main difference in the work process that I feel. That's also they're very strict with the hours of working. So even if it's just 1 minute left to finish the opera, if there is finished the hours it's end, we'd have to stop the rehearsal. There's no way we can go on for 1 minute more just because you want to finish your phrase, which is it's fine. It's just different, and I liked it. I was very intrigued.
It strikes me that you're here in Chicago as something very important is happening in your hometown, right? There's the Olympics are happening.
Yes.
Any sense of, like, I don't know, sadness or excitement that you're here and that's happening over there?
I'm very excited because parts of the games are in my region in Italy, which is Trentino Alto Adige, is in the north of Italy. There's the Alps, so there's a lot of snow. And for example, the ski jumping is there, and the biathlon also. So I'm probably not able to see the Olympics, but for sure I'm going to see the Paralympics, which I love. Mm-hmm. So because it are in March, and I'm going to be in Italy in March. So yeah, I'm very happy. And I enjoy Olympics in general because it reminds me my grandfather he loved watching Olympics, and so he was all the time in front of the TV. So all the time there's Olympics, it reminds me my grandfather. So I'm very happy.
Will you make it back in time for even closing ceremonies or something like
Maybe the closing ceremony, because I think it's on the 22nd. So maybe I can be there if I'm not too much jet lagged. I should be able to go to see, maybe.
Well, Cecilia, it's been so great to meet you and to learn more about you. And I can't wait for, as I have the pre-concert lecture that I give to the audience for this opera. I can't wait for them to bring you back, and I want to hear your Rossini. I'd love to hear your Handel. So let's get the word out that you can do these things too.
Yeah, I manifest very strongly. Thank you so much for having me with you. Ciao.
little bit of Cecilia Molinari in one of her signature roles, the other Sesto from Julius Caesar, from a 2023 performance at Liceo conducted by Emmanuel Haim. My thanks to Cecilia Molinari and her publicist for granting us that interview in the middle of the run of Così fan tutte, which is already closed. And we don't know when Molinari will be back in the States, but anybody listening who has the power to cast her, please cast her here.
Well, if you like hearing a combination of Italian adoration and sports chat, make sure that you are subscribed to this podcast. You're going to do that by going to Spotify and clicking follow, or on Apple Podcasts, you're going to hit that plus sign. Meanwhile, let's talk Olympics.
Chalk Talk on Opera Box Score.
We are recording this on February the 17th, which is day 11 of the Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina. So let's chat a little bit about what's been going on during the course of week 2. The most sports operatic connection and intersection at this point is probably going to be this Turandot remix, which is what I'm calling it. There was a really great piece in the Washington Post on it. Matt, care to tell us about it?
Yeah, so the decimated art section of the Washington Post did come out of retirement to talk about this because of the hometown connection, which is that the music that Yuma Kageyama, I keep calling him that. I keep saying his name wrong, which is very bad on me. That the ending of the Turandot that he skated to for his free skate was the new edition by Christopher Tin of Civilization 4 and 6 that Francesca Zambello commissioned for the Washington National Opera production of Turandot. And it made its way into the Olympics through Carolina Kostner, the 2014 bronze winner, who reached out to Tin to tell him that skaters kept using his work because the Canadian choreographer Laurie Nickel was a fan of his, which is really what set this whole thing in motion. And so WNO ended up sending Nickel footage of the new arrangement of the end of Turandot so that so that she could hear how it would go, because even though Nessun Dorma is a really popular skating warhorse, this new arrangement required a whole new recording. And so they went to Abbey Road, and I found it really interesting the things that went into consideration when they were creating this recording. Number one, they couldn't record it in stereo because there was a risk that Kageyama would miss musical cues if they came from different parts of the rink. Oh, wow. And then they also really specifically you arranged it so that the choir roars would happen during the biggest jump, and calm moments would come during the part of the routine where he needed a moment to catch his breath. So really it sounds spontaneous and it looks spontaneous, and there's always that element of what exactly are people going to do on the night, for better or worse, but the amount of planning and meticulous crafting of the soundtrack I found to be really fascinating to get a peek behind the curtain. And
just insider radio knowledge, I want to share with you that the EP of that version, in addition to the full ending sung by Christine Gerke and Clay Hilly, is being released, or maybe it was just released on Decca as an EP, and with Christopher Tin's imprint. For those of you who like to stream endings of operas, not the whole opera, just the ending of it, you could probably find it by now on probably anywhere you stream music, or you can buy it. I don't know if you could buy it, but do something. Support it.
Yeah, they're releasing that 4-minute, 17-second cut, quote, after strong fan demand. So I love seeing opera in demand from places that it isn't usually in demand from. That's not the only big classical music happiness that is there. We also have Shun Sato, fellow Japanese skater Shun Sato, who was skating to Firebird, and it was so delightful and lovely, and I was so thrilled to see all of this stuff. It's funny because for so long, skating was mostly like classical music. Now we've started to see this influx of pop and, of course, all of the themes that come in with ice dancing, which was that, or the Minions. Although the licensing palooza of it all has been such a nightmare, people have had to change their routines at the last minute because of licensing issues. So it's really, it's been really wild to see sort of how all that has come together.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get more classic than using the Firebird Suite for your free skate. Like that, when the first time I heard the full Firebird Suite, it got to the Infernal Dance, and I was like, oh, it's the skating music. And then when you have the final dance at the end, like those piccolo trills basically sound like doing quads. So how could you not choose it, honestly?
While we're on the topic of men's figure skating, I mean, we're sort of tiptoeing around this because it's really hard to talk about it in a way that feels generous, like we would be towards fellow singers if they had a bad day. I don't know, but there's something that's here. There's a topic here that I haven't read the right response yet. I haven't felt that I've found like the right think piece on it. For Ilya Malinin, bless his heart.
I certainly have takes.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to hear your take, but you know, they basically crowned him before the Olympics even started, and I have to say that like all of the press that he's been doing leading up to the Olympics and even during the Olympics just had so much ego and so much hubris, for lack of a better word. And he's a kid, he's 21. And he's white and blonde and amazing.
Extremely Targaryen coded.
Yes. Cherubic AF.
Yeah. He's a real incredible athlete who's accomplished so much. And he deserves his flowers. But there's something about him that always felt a little bit like, oof, God, it'd be terrible if he did not deliver after all of this. And I definitely was not hoping, I was not cheering against him in any way. But yeah, it felt a little bit like a metaphor for American hubris.
Oh, hot take.
Yeah,
I mean, we did as American sports fans what we always do, which is crown a king and then follow in hero worship. It just so happens that this one was even younger than the ones that we usually crown. We can't give a kid a t-shirt that says Quad God and have him wear it into the Olympic rink and then expect for everything to go flawlessly. He is still he is a man because he is over the age of 18, but he is still wildly young, and people have been anointing him with these titles since he was pretty young. So as much as, you know, the skate was his and what he does on the ice is his responsibility, I can't help but think that we as fandom kind of owe a little of the responsibility in our own directions. We kind of did this. I take your point and I understand it in thinking about sort of his air and his presence and his presentation. But I can't help but think that we did a lot of this. You know, the amount of pressure that he is under is absolutely bonkers. And it's that way of every, you know, major athlete. We've got the Blade Angels, our American women, going tonight, but at least there's 3 of them. They can like share the burden. I will say the one thing that I have appreciated is, you know, as much as we do hero worship, we also do failed hero destruction. There's often, especially in, you know, the sports world, but in the singing world too, anybody that we think is this absolute rock star and then they had an off night. There was a time and a period in our culture where we would speak to that and we would all but shame them for making these mistakes. What I have seen here in the sports world is all of the fellow athletes, both from this Olympics and even in other sports that wouldn't be involved in this Olympics, rallying around him in support. And that is one of the things that I have been really glad about, is to see that all of these, you know, athletes at the very top of their games, Simone Biles, Tom Brady, basically the only people who could possibly understand what that type of pressure is like.
Simone Biles in particular, like, really encountered it firsthand and was not afforded the same sort of grace.
Precisely. Reaching out with those messages of support. Should he have behaved differently so that he had more of his facilities available for a strong and effective skate? Absolutely. No question. Should we have put that type of pressure on such a young man before he had actually had time to really prove himself? Also, no.
No, I don't want to be the person who like throws him under the bus. I wanted to see him win. It would have been really satisfying, but yeah, well, we can move on. I have so many mixed feelings about it. And the hair is bothering me. Like, is he highlighting his hair? Like, what is he doing? Because like, if you look at him when he was younger, it just was like sort of straight and sort of blonde. And now it's like, it feels very 80s right now, you know? Like,
I mean, it definitely matched the vibe of his short program costume. So that part I get.
Yeah, it's very video game, like, you know, video game warrior. All right, Canadian curling scandal.
Tell me you folks have seen the Canadian curling scandal.
You tell us about it, please.
So Canadians have an international reputation for being nice, kind, polite people that would never do anything nefarious. But it seems over the course of the last few days, they have been accused by Sweden and the Sweden curling team of cheating. Basically, there's a release that happens when the thrower tosses the stone and you have to let go of it and not touch it at all. And there is this curler, his name is Mark something, and he's apparently like been notoriously thought of as a cheater, Mark Kennedy. And so during one of his matches, Mark Kennedy was caught on film because the Swedes set up cameras for, I think it was the Swedes. They set up cameras for this just to see it at the drop line. So they see him throw, but then they also see his pointer finger extend and touch the stone. Now, whether that actually helped the curling stone or not, TBD. But the fact that he did it constitutes cheating. And so Sweden accused him of cheating, and then Mark Kennedy exploded. Cue international uproar, international scandal, and all of the people back home in Canada being very embarrassed and ashamed and pulling what is an American quote, which is, "This is not who we are." You can read more about it. There's an NPR article that's all about it. It's called "A Curling Scandal Rocks Olympic Ice." It came out yesterday and was part of Morning Edition. So again, if you need some mild, low stakes, but also high stakes scandals to read about that do not involve you, I encourage you to learn a little bit more about that.
I mean, Canadians being indecorous is not the only example of athletes going against type in these Olympics. Ashley, is it?
Listen, excellent segue. I would like to talk about what I have called Revenge of the Elder Millennials, Olympians in their 40s that are giving all of us out here, especially people who are in their 40s like this lady, hope in the world. We have a couple of highlights here, some Americans and some Canadians. It's not by any means an extensive list, but these are the ones that have been popping up the most as of late. The first is social media darling and U.S. snowboard competitor Nick Baumgartner. That man is 44 years old, and he is flinging himself from these 17-story heights to do some snowboarding. Now, did he medal? No. Has he become wildly popular on social media? Absolutely. Is he also very handsome? Yes. I find him very handsome.
For reference, 44 is only 13 years younger than Tony Hawk.
There it is. Thank you. Good math. But he's been absolutely delightful. If you're looking for fun follows on social media through the end of the games, I definitely suggest checking out Nick Baumgartner. He is fun, he is goofy, he is silly, and he is living his absolute best elder millennial life. Next is one of the more inspiring stories for me, which is Alana Miles Taylor. She is a mother of two, and she competes for the United States as a monobob, which is the solo bobsled. She's a very decorated Olympian, has won several medals over the course of her career. She is 41 years old, and she won her very first gold medal yesterday, February 16th, in the monobob. Her entire family was there. She also has two children, the older of which has Down syndrome. Both of her children are deaf. And so in addition to being a mother and training as an elite athlete, she also had to magically and quickly learn American Sign Language so that she could communicate with her children. There's some really beautiful footage out there from the medal ceremony, and her husband is holding their youngest son, and he's signing because the little boy is reaching out for mom while she's on the podium, and he's signing to him like, yes, that's mom. Mommy's got to do this, but she'll come back. Like, it's the sweetest thing. But at any rate, the woman is 41 years old, and she is an absolute flippin' superhero. But another magic story from the Olympics, which again, we love a good personal interest story here. Diana Stolano-Dudek, she was a competitive skater as a solo skater in the late 90s. She retired in 2000. 16 years later, out of the blue, decided to pick up her skates and start competing again in pairs skating. And Diana Stolano-Dudek, Canadian skater, made her Olympic debut this week at 42 years old. in pair skating. I don't know if either of you saw the program. It was absolutely incredible. It was triumphant. She was grace personified on that ice. There was one bobble at the end that kind of pulled them out of medal contention, which was a little heartbreaking to see. But I mean, I think even being at the Olympics at 42 for pairs skating, you know, the one where you're thrown in the air a billion times as a lady, is an absolute win.
Look out, Oksana Chusovitina. These Olympians are coming for you.
I have a quick, like, pre-bad call about the Olympics. And it's more my own being a Luddite than anything else. But I have YouTube TV, and it's really difficult to set specific advanced recordings on YouTube TV. You can just like tell YouTube TV like what you like, and you could like add things to the library. But if you want like a specific program that's the same day that you would normally on a DVR or any other device, like just find that program and like set that one to record. You can't do that, which is very frustrating. And I have been deprived of the prime time, like recap. So the prime time programming that they do on NBC, because my YouTube TV will only record like the actual as it happens segments. So, on Friday night, after going to see Così fan tutte, getting home at like 11 o'clock, hoping to watch the primetime version of the men's free skate, I actually had to watch, 4 hours of the skates as they happened, which in a way was actually better for me because I got to, I didn't get the way that primetime would edit it to make it like super dramatic. I just saw it as it happened. But it meant I was up until like almost 3 o'clock in the morning to watch Ilya Malinin, what happened with Ilya. So it was doubly hurtful for me. And yeah, bad on YouTube TV.
Well, if there's any reason to stay up till 3 a.m, it's definitely the Olympics. I'll say that I've been watching on Peacock, and my bad call for them is that their full event replays expire before I've been able to get to some of them. And while we have come a long way in terms of letting you go back in time and experience Olympics after the fact, still some room for improvement, NBC Universal. Why are we being so stingy here?
Well, hopefully we can figure it out before the LA Games in 2028, provided those games even happen. If LA in America still exists in 2028, we will find out. 2-minute drill coming up next.
This just in, the 2-minute drill.
All right, listen up. Here's everything you need to know about what happened in Operaland this week.
The Washington Post reports that friend of the show, Francesca Zambello, used her interview in The Guardian to raise alarm about the situation at the Kennedy Center, setting Washington National Opera in motion to leave their affiliation agreement with the venue. Artistic director of Washington National Opera since 2012, Zambello gave the interview without warning the board or General Director Timothy O'Leary, highlighting the effects of Trump's hostile takeover of the center and the new leadership's lack of understanding of nonprofit funding.
Conductor and Bard College president Leon Botstein appears thousands of times in the Epstein files, including in emails regarding meetings with the pedophile since 2012. The messages include Epstein connecting Botstein with Woody Allen and Soon-Yi Previn, and Botstein planning a trip to Epstein's private island. Botstein's lengthy response to the reporting includes a clarification stating, quote, "My interactions with Epstein were always and only for the sole purpose of soliciting donations for the college. He was not my friend, he was a prospective donor. Fundraising demands myriad scheduling emails, conversation, frequent travel, meetings, and long-term cultivation. That is the process illustrated in the correspondence. Once again, I want to express my regret at this connection and my dearest sympathies for Epstein's victims." While Botstein has not been accused of any wrongdoing, the Bard College of Trustees has reportedly called an emergency meeting following the revelations.
Teatro Sanazzaro in Naples has been destroyed by a fire. According to the Associated Press, the fire spread rapidly through the 19th century theater, causing its domed roof to collapse. Naples fire commander Giuseppe Paduano said that, quote, "Very little of the theater remains. As for causes, it's still too early to say." This is the latest Italian theater to be destroyed by fire, including Teatro La Fenice and the Teatro Petruzzelli in Bari.
The 2026 Operalia competition will be held in Shanghai, hosted by the Shanghai Conservatory of Music and the Shangyin Opera House. The competition will be sponsored by Rolex and will take place beginning late October, the year of the horse. Happy Lunar New Year to all who celebrate.
Detroit Opera has announced a transformational $3 million grant from the Fred and Barbara Erb Family Foundation. The news comes after Yuval Sharon stepped down as artistic director and music director Roberto Kalb took on an expanded role in planning for the company. It also comes as they have been facing severe economic difficulties over the past months, forcing the company to cancel this season's opener, The Girl of the Golden West.
Major awards news. Roman Gilbert has been honored with France's Order of Arts and Letters. The opera director announced the news on social media, expressing his immense honor and gratitude. Quote, "What an immense honor to have been named a knight in the Order of the Arts and Letters. It's an indescribable feeling. Thank you to the benevolent spirits who will recognize themselves." Gilbert is currently directing a new production of La Gioconda. And friend of the show, Barbara Hannigan, has been chosen as one of this year's Governor General Performing Arts Awards laureates. These awards are Canada's highest distinction in the performing arts and a national celebration of arts excellence, cultural identity, and collective pride, again demonstrating that the OBS bump observes no borders.
Speaking of Canada, in trade news, Ian Darrow will become the general director of the Canadian Opera Company in Toronto beginning this summer, leaving his position as general director of an infamous company in Texas. And Arizona Opera has announced Aurelia Andrews as head of music, chorus director, and principal coach of the Marian Roos Poland studio beginning next season. Andrews, who is currently on the music staff at Santa Fe Opera, joins Arizona Opera after 2 seasons as head of music at Florentine Opera.
Exit stage right, soprano Marcella de Osma has passed away at age 92. A renowned dramatic coloratura, she made her debut in 1954 at the Teatro Nuovo. Her illustrious career includes performances at La Scala and the Gran Teatre del Liceu during the 1960s and 70s. And she was celebrated for her portrayals of Beatrice di Tenda by Bellini, Norma, also by Bellini, Manon Lescaut, assuming by Puccini, Tosca, La Gioconda, and the major Verdi heroines.
Spanish tenor Francisco Lazaro has passed away at 93. He studied singing at the Conservatory del Liceu and made his debut at the Liceu in Don Gaspar. Lazaro went on to perform with Deutsche Oper am Rhein, Bayerische Staatsoper, Oper Frankfurt, and Hamburg Opera, along with San Francisco, Teatro Colón in Buenos Aires, and many more. He worked under the baton of renowned conductors such as Karajan, Carl Böhm, Nello Santi, and Jesus López Cobos. He retired in 1992.
And on this day, February 19th, it was the first performance of Antonio Cesti's The Misfortunes of Love in 1667 in Vienna. In 1727, Handel became a naturalized British subject by order of the Crown. In 1736, it was the first performance of Handel's Alexander's Feast at Covent Garden in London. In 1763, it was the first performance of Johann Christian Bach's opera Orione, also in London. In 1898, on this day, Matilda Malinger created the role of Susanna, the title role in Wolf-Ferrari's The Secret of Susanna. In 1914, it was the first performance of Riccardo Zanondai's Francesca da Rimini in Turin. And in 1949, it was the first performance of Douglas Moore's opera The Emperor's New Clothes in New York City.
Some birthdays on this day include Julius Lieban, the German tenor who was born in Lundenberg. He sang in the premiere of Der Improvisator by Eugen d'Albert. 1841 saw the birth of Swedish composer Elfrida André in Gotland. Soprano Ella Tordek was born in Bohemia in 1878. Baritone Willy Domgraf Fassbender was born in Aachen in 1897. He sang in the premiere of Oedipus the Tyrant by Karl Orff. Happy birthday to Romanian composer George Kurtag in Lugoi. He was born in 1926, hashtag Kurtag100. Happy birthday in 1941 to English bass Ian Comboy, born in Cheshire. Notable roles for him include Morton in the premiere of Thea Musgrave's Mary, Queen of Scots. And happy birthday, born this day in 1949, English soprano Penelope Walmsley Clark.
And that's your 2-minute drill.
a little bit of Penelope Walmsley-Clark singing the movement Duzzissime from Carmina Burana. That's on the London Symphony Orchestra recording with Richard Hickox conducting. Just beautiful vocalism in the craziest 42 seconds in any oratorio that I can think of. Or cantata, I guess it is.
Yes.
Not an oratorio.
It's hard singing, and that's what it is. Couple of interesting things in our drill today. Seems like Francesca might have been the one that got this whole departure going, huh?
Yeah, and the Washington Post story points out that like she looks pretty prescient in hindsight now, given that the Kennedy Center is no more for at least the next 2 years, if not ever. But a really interesting peek behind the curtain of just how strong the forces like were buffeting that company with Rick Grinnell apparently wanted the funding to be guaranteed for Washington National Opera to break even at the time of announcing the season, even though that is not how arts fundraising works, and tickets do not cover any of the they barely cover any of the operating costs of a company. So they absolutely demolished the development department at the same time. So like, I don't know where they thought that money was going to come from. He also reportedly demanded that the board dismiss Francesca Zambello after the interview came out, which he denies, but I don't really put that much stock in what he denies to the press.
Do we need an Anmajet or somebody on the inside who...
Not of the Washington Post. There's nothing on the inside.
I know, but somebody on the inside at WNO who is documenting all of what happened and how it happened. And I want to read the book about
the tick-tick.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like they installed the most imbecilic idiot they could find to run the Kennedy Center. And this
every other part of the U.S. government. Go on.
Yeah. No, we saw it. And this is
why should they be exempt?
Exactly. And like, if this is what's happening at something that we all can see happening, what is happening in other agencies that we don't know about? Because we don't care about those agencies, you know?
Oh no, we absolutely do care about those agencies. It was just such a shocking sentence to put together, and I did not immediately have a response. I do have a couple of friends who are federal employees and do work in DC for certain departments, and boy howdy, the things that I am hearing. I'm conflicted because all of these things are horrifying and pearl clutch worthy, but we also can't be pearl clutchy all day, every day. And we also have to have some hope that there are parts of our American experiment that will hold. But boy, it is really difficult to
we'll
sit
see.
and watch and believe. It's a very TBD thing. One thing we can believe in is the future of Detroit Opera, given that they have this life-changing grant that's been put in place right after Yuval's departure.
And not a moment too soon, am I right?
Yeah, it makes me wonder if the grant came because they had to say, okay, we'll get rid of Yuval Sharon if you give us this money, you know?
I can see that, but also do we have any evidence of that?
No, but it's just the timing is interesting, you know?
The timing is incredibly interesting. Well, all we need is for Yuval to do an interview with a specific publication, and we'll see if we can read the tea leaves and somehow figure out if it goes back in time. At any rate, it's been a long night. It's been a long day. Let's wrap this show up.
Good call. Bad call on Opera Box Score.
Good call, bad call. How we end all of our shows here at OBS. We're going to start with Oliver Camacho.
At the time of this episode being published, you have 2 more chances to see The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, Friday the 20th and Saturday the 21st, starring friends of the show, Lauren Snowfer, Sunlee Pierce, and my new husband, Andrei Volonchik. I don't think you'll regret it. Please, if you can make it, support that opera.
And if you go on Friday, you will see me. I will be there. Yay. Matt Cummings.
I have lots of extra Olympics to catch up on because I was traveling over the weekend, and my bad call honestly might get me some hate. So, dear listeners, do not come for my wig, but I feel like the city of Austin, Texas might be just a little bit overhyped. Maybe I was there at a bad time.
Hot take.
But downtown really feels like 4 different hotel companies and 3 tech companies in a trench coat. And other than some of the best tacos that I've ever had in my life at Tacos de Diaz, check it out. I was not really a fan. So let me know if I missed any hidden gems that I should go back for and give the city a second chance.
I mean, since every building looks like a shipping container, just pick one and get inside of it and see if you can enjoy it from the inside out. My take is not opera, and it's not sports, but it is Chicago, which is where we call home. We lost a giant and a legend in the city today in Reverend Jesse Jackson. There are going to be tributes that are going to be left, right, and center. You hopefully know a lot about why he is so important, and if you don't yet, you will over the next few days. But one thing I do want to do is share the words that I heard him say in front of me a few years ago that I will never, ever forget, and I try to lean on them when I am going through difficult times, like you might be as well. What I heard him say that I wrote down and lives in my phone is, you don't drown because the water gets too high. You drown because you stop swimming. Hopefully that will help somebody out there. That is it for this week's edition of America's Talk Radio show about opera. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can get your voice heard and find links to stuff that we've talked about on our website, which is operaboxscore.com. That is also where you can put your money where our mouths are. You can give back to the OBS using the Support the Team tab. Your announcer is Norm Waddell. Your creative consultant is Oliver Camacho. And your audio editor is Weston Williams. The executive producer of OBS is George Cedarquist. For co-host Matt Cummings with guest Cecilia Molinari, I'm Ashley Hardgrave, asking you to continue the conversation about opera as you cultivate prospective donors, not friends. We're back with an all-new show next week when Christopher Tin takes a free throw on finishing Turandot. Plus, you'll get more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more mono-bobbing supermoms. Join us.